सिया राम, जय जय राम सिया राम, राम सिया राम, जय जय राम सिया राम।
सबको रिझाता चल, सबसे निभाता चल, सबको रिझाता चल, मिल जाएंगे राम। राम नाम का अलख जगाता चल, मिल जाएंगे राम। राम धुन गाता चल, राम धुन गाता चल, राम धुन गाता चल, राम धुन गाता चल।
राम सिया राम, जय जय राम सिया राम।
भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करभावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति।
Yeah, Hari Om. I'll take us through the question and the discussion which we had. So the members, as you can see, were Deepraj, Omkar, Ajay, LC, Asha, Ravi, and myself. Deepraj was the questionnaire. During the discussion itself, he said he may not be present today. I don't know whether he's there or not. So instead, Omkar said he will adopt the question. So Omkar has adopted the question. So the question was, what are the criteria by which a sadhak can pick his or her karma yoga projects? And Deepraj wanted practical and not theoretical suggestions. He had this qualifying statement. So we discussed, but unfortunately there was no consensus. So there were many, I mean, people had different views on the criteria to be selected, as shown below. As you can see, some people said it should be based on Swadharma. They said it's an attitude, not so much the criteria for selection. Karma yoga is an attitude. One or two people said that whatever projects help you move out of your comfort zone, and which is related to the last point, that whatever takes you to your next level of spiritual growth, that's what will help. I mean, that should be the criteria for choosing. And of course, they should be action oriented. So these were the responses. We could not arrive at a consensus.
Okay, so Ravi Chabra, you want to say something?
Yeah, I had mentioned this also when the our coordinator was writing the details of the discussion, that no consensus. So what I mentioned was I was objecting toward no consensus. What I wanted to say was that each of the participants had different views, but at the same time, they were not disagreeing with the views of others. So when they were not disagreeing with the views of others, so the point of mentioning that there were no consensus was not relevant. That was my objection. But in spite of that, it was written. He says that no, it is a norm. It is acceptable thing.
Yeah,
Because
you all
when the
can all agree if you're like that these are the various things that you should
no no no
consider.
no 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 no. What I'm saying is that the word no consensus was the one which I was not agreeing to. The reason being because all the participants had
I got
different
you the
views.
first time. I listen. People may not
No,
listen to me, but I listen to people. So I got
no.
you the first time. You did not like the term. I'll repeat it for you. You don't like no consensus because people, though they gave their own points, did not disagree with the points others had given. So on that basis, you say we should not say no consensus. To which the response was that if all the people agree that yes, these are the various points to be considered, then there is a consensus. But they don't, if they don't agree that these are all the points to be considered, then it would be no consensus.
But they don't disagree also, no?
So that I don't know whether they agreed or disagreed. That is for you in the group to decide. Does everybody accept that these are the 5 points involved? If you all agree, then you say consensus. But I'm assuming you all didn't agree because you're saying no.
Yeah. So just to clarify, there was no agreement that one particular thing is the criteria. So that on that there was no agreement, and people may not have disagreed also to all of these, but some they have agreed, some they have not agreed. That was the reason why we put no consensus.
Okay, fine. So, okay. So basically, if you all are going to give us what the discussion was, then it's better that you tell us what was the point of disagreement rather than telling us what people said. One of the biggest things of group discussion is that we do less talking and more thinking. So, the I don't want to say that because last time I heard, then we all were spending half an hour just thinking. I don't know what will you all do thinking so much. Once you once you say, okay, should be driven by Swadharma. Okay, suppose you say that. Then do you agree or don't agree? If you don't agree, then what is that point of disagreement? Or based on the attitude of sadhak. So don't tell us what people said. Tell us what was the point of disagreement. Because what happens in life is everybody just says what they want to say. And no reference to what anybody else has said. Right. So at least we take one point and say, okay, if somebody says it should be driven by Swadharma, does everybody agree at the end, at least, because at least you've taken the trouble of writing down the 5 points. So where are you all disagreeing? If you all are disagreeing. So that would be a more useful thing. Otherwise, everybody just saying whatever they want. That's not how a discussion takes place. A discussion means there is a back and forth going on. Okay, you said this. On what grounds did you say this? So I'm saying this on these grounds without doing bal ki khal ukhadna. You have to do all this. Many aspects of your intellect have to be sort of involved when you're doing the discussion. In fact, just learning how to discuss is a very great thing. Have you ever noticed maximum discussions at home? What is happening? Everybody's saying what they want. Nobody is listening to what somebody else is saying. So we are going to train ourselves to listen. It's the first step of Vedanta, that you have learned to listen. Listen. Okay, so did somebody want to say something?
Yes,
Go
I
ahead.
mean the basic disagreement was on Deep Raj's qualifier of giving practical and not theoretical suggestions. So it was felt that some of these were more theory. For example, how does one even determine the level of one's spiritual growth? And
Yeah. Don't tell me now. I didn't mean that you tell me now. I meant that when you all write down no consensus, tell us on which areas of which points, which important points you all had disagreement.
basically practical versus theoretical.
Don't tell me now. This is not the time for any of that.
Oh,
It's only to say this is no consensus. So therefore, does anyone have an answer? Simple. Give practical, not theoretical. But the questioner is not there. Is anyone adopting the question? Omkar, I heard you were adopting.
yes, I am adopting the question.
Okay. So what's the question? What are the criteria by which a sadhak can pick his or her karma yoga projects? Give practical, not theoretical suggestions. So very, very simple answer to this. The simple answer is whatever you want. Whatever inspires you, whatever you think is useful, whatever you are inspired by. The whole point of Karma Yoga is what are you inspired by? Because if your mind is not inspired by that idea, how will you pick yourself up? The point of Karma Yoga is to pick yourself up. So you're right. I would say that all of this is all based on theory. What do you feel most for? What do you feel is where a contribution is required, or where do you feel you can contribute? What do you feel for? What's your vision? That should determine what karma yoga you take. It's not a mechanical choice based on some criteria. No, it's something that stirs your blood. So in one word, whatever inspires you.
So this answer, Janki, feels more like a mind or an emotion-led decision rather than our favorite intellect-driven decision. And it's very likely to happen that what you like today may not be what you like tomorrow. So then in that case, do you then change your Karma Yoga project itself, or you bring in the intellect somewhere?
Yeah, what your choice is. Why don't you remove this now from here so we can see everybody? Okay. So can you switch your video on also? Anyone who talks should at least put their video on, right? Okay, so you have, not you, anybody has very little intellect, right? So don't engage the intellect too much, because you don't have endurance in the intellect. What I mean by you don't have endurance is there's only so much you can make yourself do. Therefore, the choice of any field of activity is based on what you like. We have been through this multiple times, that it has to be something that 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 your mind wants. If you're choosing a goal, it has to be something that your mind wants. Otherwise, forget it, you aren't doing anything. Once you're inspired by that, once you feel for that, then your intellect has to assess, is it a worthy goal? Is it worthy? And if, according to the intellect, it is worthy and it does accept that as a goal, it's merely accepting or rejecting. That's all it's doing. Then, next step is you're planning towards that goal. All of that is the intellect. And that's where your sustainability comes from. You know how your thing is going to be sustained. Now, nobody has the capacity of what should I say, of that intellect holding it through. So you want the mind's help. So choose something the mind wants. It has to be, whatever your goal is always a subset of your desires. Okay?
The mind does have a tendency to switch. Right? They like
That is
something.
where the intellect comes, and that is what the intellect does. There's no
So
question of switching. This is my commitment. That means
Can
if
we-
I take up a project, I see it through to the end. Not I feel like doing this, I'll do this. I feel like doing that, I'll do that. No, you see a project to the end. If you're handling, I don't know, if you say I'm working on the university, then you have to see it through to the end. If you're handling plantation, then you have to see it through to the end. Not suddenly I'll do this, I won't do this. How can you tell me to do this? Nonsense is all this. If you're
So-
taking it up, take it up to the end. Now, Aparna and her team have taken over to do table seminar. I don't know if you all know. We plan to do a table seminar. So now she and the whole team are doing table seminar. Now halfway through, she can't say, "Oh, I lost my interest." No, now that you started it, you have to see it through to the end. You have to deal with whatever comes. People may help you, people may not help you, but you can't pick it up, drop it, pick it up, drop it. Are you insane? Oh, I'll only do this. What do you mean I'll only do this? Suppose you're making a landing page for the this book launch. You can't say I feel like doing only half the page. There's no page there if you do half the page. You have to do the whole page or not do it. So people who are not balanced cannot do the whole thing. That means intellect is not there. So they'll pick up, they'll drop, they'll do random things. That is why first step is you need the mind who is inspired, who thinks it's something worthy of being done. And whether anybody does it or doesn't do it, I am doing it. That's the quality of a leader, which is what we hope to achieve over here. Make leaders, not people who are like, oh, if I feel like doing it, I'll do it. Now I have to go here, now I have to go for a party. No, you made a commitment, you see it through to the end. Okay, so that portion is all intellect, but the choice has to be mine. You can't. It's a commitment you're making. Now you decide to have a child. It's a commitment you've made. You can't halfway through say, okay, now I'm bored with this. You have to until the child becomes at earning age or whatever. You will have to.
So would it be right to say that at the choice level, you engage your mind, but then for perseverance or consistency and proceed
For
through
execution.
an execution, you use the intellect?
Yes, two things. You engage the intellect to first see whether what you want is something worthy of being got. That is your first step. Your second step is that that the intellect has to execute. Now, when your mind wants it and your intellect thinks it's worthy, this combination is called inspiration. Your mind feels for it and your intellect understands.
So the counterpoint of Deepraj, who was a questionnaire, was that the mind will always take the easy route. Okay, because we came up with this, some of the participants. So then the counterpoint was the mind will always choose what it is liking, what is easy. There is some disturbance.
Rajeshwari, I think you're not muted. I think so. Can you? Thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry, Kalyan.
Yeah. So Deepraj was saying that in that case, I will always choose, or the concerned Karma Yogi will choose always what is easy, what can be done, which will not sort of Karma Yoga was to reduce the bulk of desires. So then those desires, I mean, that exercise will not help. That's the reason we didn't go by the fact, and that's why the points related to which will help in your spiritual growth, which will bring you out of your comfort zone, all that stuff came.
Very nice. I'm glad you all have thought this through. Yes, your mind's tendency is to choose what appears easy. Okay. So here's where you have been tricked. Vedanta says choose what is easy. What do you think is easy? Think back in your own life. You saw a girl. You thought this girl is very nice. I want to marry her. It seems very easy to you. Right? Some other girl they showed no, this looks complicated. I don't. Right? Choose. You're free in this world. Choose anything that looks easy to you. The moment you go and touch it, the problems will start, as you have experienced. Anything. This job looks easy. Okay, go do it. This spouse looks easy. Okay, go do it. This project looks easy. Okay, go do it. The moment you start, the dvividha will start. The dharma sankat will start. The problems will start. Now we have 20th, we have decided we will hold the book launch. Seems easy. Put a date, 20th. Put a date. All the chief guests. Where are the books? No books. So anytime you start, it seems very easy. But if you make a commitment, then you begin to see the various steps and how complex this is. Elsie said, okay, I will help you do some research on the internet. We need always, you're always like going to CSR, we're doing Oracle, raise a lot of funds, right? At the moment, our main job in this world is to raise funds. So Elsie is helping. She looks up all the companies and she has to find out contact. She says, it's not, I can't do very much, okay? These people are doing a lot of work. I will just do something easy. So can you look up the contacts and names of these companies? Yeah, that is easy. That I can do. Then she started. Then what happened, Elsie? Very easy job you took up, right? Then what happens?
No one responded. No one even picks up the phone and hey, call 5-6 times each one. Sometimes all the numbers are wrong.
Yeah. So you see, you take any job, you think it's easy, no? Take it, do it. She's very humble. She's saying, no, I can't do big project. I'll do a small one. Karo fir. So the thing is, it doesn't matter. Moral of the story is, it doesn't matter. You touch anything. You say, I will do this job. It is very easy. Okay, do and see. And if genuinely it is easier, you will be bored enough to improve on it. Like, a housewife. She eventually cooking becomes easy. So what does she do then? She'll find new recipes. She'll find some new way of serving it. Some quicker way of doing it. It's just a natural output. But you have to be inspired by what you do. Not like, oh, you're making me do something. That is not karma yoga. You're forcing me to do things. That's not karma yoga. Karma yoga is, I think this has to be done and we're going to do it. So still answer remains the same. The one thing is inspiration. So what is inspiration? The confluence of the mind and intellect. The mind wants it. The intellect recognizes that it's a worthy thing.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ma'am, how do you guarantee happiness for the sensitive hearts?
Oh. For the sensitive hearts. How do you One second. We have finished with the first question, right? Anyone else? have
No, I
anything?
had some.
Yeah, go ahead.
So Janki ji, in the context of making our daily works also like karma yoga, somewhere we had discussed that, if I recollect it correctly, we had discussed that it's not necessary that you always like what is what your duty bound, uh, but to make it a karma yoga, you can look at that project in terms of the greater good. So let's say a housewife doesn't like cooking, but if she brings in this thought that I'm cooking for my family, feeding my family, and helping my nation and stuff like that, maybe she can uh, make it a karma yoga. Did I get that correct?
No, you didn't. I'm sure that thought appealed to you, but sorry, you didn't get it.
That, or even if somebody is going for a job and if you hate the job, but you still do it. I mean, you do it because
No,
it's
no way. If you hate your job, leave it. If you don't like cooking, leave it. If you don't like whatever you don't like, leave it. Because it follows the basic principle of follow your swadharma. If it ain't your swadharma, don't do it. Now, so you say, no, but how can I not do it? I am obligated to. Okay, you're obligated to, then you find ways of doing it. Like, I left my job, but now I'm obligated to look after my family. So figure out how to do it. But you don't do a paradharmic activity. That doesn't mean you don't do things you don't like. It means you don't do paradharmic activity. Okay, now this is always going to be a dvivida. Is it paradharmic or is it something I don't like? Whether I like it or not, some things have to be done. But paradharmic activity has never to be done. Now, is it paradharmic or is it something I don't like? To know that. How do you know that? How do you know that?
Agitations.
Huh?
if some days you like it and some days you don't, then maybe it's not paradharmic, but something you don't like consistently is probably paradharmic.
How do you know whether it's paradharmic or something you dislike?
Janki ji,
Hmm.
if it is making agitations in your mind, then it is paradharmic. Otherwise, it's-
That's a very easy definition. So what happens? If you dislike it, it doesn't create agitations, but paradharma creates agitations. You have to say both, na? If it's paradharmic, it agitates you. But if you do something you dislike, then what happens? Then you're very happy. How do you know? You all are falling for trick questions. Kalyan, you want to say something?
Yeah, whether it inspires you or not.
Whether it
Inspires you or not.
inspires. Well, difficult to use that for paradharma and dislikes.
Your thoughts may not go to that at all if it is paradharmic.
Okay.
But a paradharmic thing is something I certainly don't like. I'm certain about it. And a swadharmic thing, sometimes I may not like it. Isn't that a good? I mean, in the sense, I don't like cricket. I don't like it ever. I mean, there is no question about it. And let's say I like to watch tennis sometimes, and sometimes I don't. So it's not really paradharmic, but there is like and dislike depending on the mood. But cricket, I certainly don't like.
I don't know whether that would be.
Janki,
Nita Toprani?
yeah, you
Go.
may see this is higher goal, and that's why I want to do it.
I can't hear you very well.
Thank you, because you see there is higher goal in doing this, and that's why I want to do it, not for because I like it or not, or obligated or not, but because it has a higher objective, higher goal. That's why I want to go for it.
Okay. So you're saying that if there is a higher objective
Yes.
involved,
Yes.
then you have to do it, and that means that it's a dislike. But if there's no higher objective, then it becomes paradharmic. Is that what you're saying?
No, the higher goal keeps you inspired.
Okay, sure. But how do you differentiate whether what you currently don't like doing, is it merely a dislike or is it paradharmic? Sorry, I may not be hearing you properly because I'm
No,
being.
you are right. And just ponder.
I just hear, sort of.
No, I'm trying to ponder on this. Yeah.
Okay, sure. So, okay, so how do you know? Now, please pay attention to the question. How do you know? How do you know anything? Chalo yaar. How do you know anything? Oh, Deepraj is here. Why were you people saying that he's not here?
Yeah, I just discovered I was about to say. Yeah.
Okay. Deepraj, why are you keeping quiet when everybody is saying you're not there? You're there. Oh, you can't speak. Okay. It is Ruchika. Oh, Ruchika, you're not familiar with this word paradharmic? Thank you for asking. Please, everybody who is not familiar with definitions like Ruchika, please ask what does that word mean? Otherwise, the whole discussion becomes pointless. So, what does paradharma mean? Paradharma means those that paradharma. Para means another's, alien. Dharma is nature. So paradharma means another's nature, an alien nature, something not according to your nature. Swadharma means swasya dharma, own. Swadharma is my nature. Swa is one's own. Dharma, nature. So my own nature. So in Vedanta, we have this concept. In the Gita, it says, Swadharme nidhanam shreyaha, paradharma bhayavaha. Swadharme, in Swadharma, nidhanam shreya, better to die doing your Swadharma. Paradharma bhayavaha. Paradharma is frightening, don't go anywhere near. So, in other words, it is live in accordance to your own nature. Do not live in accordance to something which is not your nature. So, if you are a what did you say you were studying, Ruchika?
Engineering.
Engineer. So if your Swadharma is engineering, then you take up engineering. If your Swadharma is mathematics, you take up mathematics. If your Swadharma is art, then you must take up art. You to choose your life decisions have to be made based on your Swadharma, means your own nature, and not according to Paradharma, which is an alien nature. So what is Paradharma? Alien nature, not my nature. Okay?
But how does it different from getting discomfort from doing something
Yeah,
than
that's exactly what we're discussing. So how do you know whether something is paradharmic or it is simply something you're uncomfortable with or you dislike or something like that? How do you know this? To which now I'm asking you, as I'm asking the whole class, how do you know? Since that question was difficult, making it a little easier. How do you know anything?
By thinking about it.
Deepraj has answered, even though
By
he
using
can't
intellect?
see. Yes, with your intellect. If you have the capacity of discrimination, then only you can tell the difference between two things. If you don't have the capacity of discrimination, you're never going to be able to tell. Every other answer is only indicative. I know you're like very disappointed with an answer like that. How do you know the difference? Use your intellect. हर चीज में use intellect. Give us some proper answers. अब मैं क्या करूं? That is the answer. There is no other answer. I understand how frustrating it is because I have experienced it when my teacher told me, answer, how do you deal with your husband? Use your intellect. How do you manage your office? Do you use your intellect? अरे same answer every question तो मैं भी answer करती हूँ इसमें क्या बड़ी बात है? It takes a long time to figure out one of the most crucial aspects of Vedanta, which is what you hear of all the time, is the development of discrimination. When you're in that position, these pointers may help you or they may not help you. But if you have an intellect that knows how to discriminate, you'll know what to do. Now, I know it's frustrating. I know it's useless as an answer because अब तो intellect है नहीं, अब मैं क्या करूं? I know that. So therefore, other things are given to us that told us, okay, do this. Many of you all gave many yardsticks. You could use those yardsticks and they may be useful also. But nothing is going to replace your capacity of discrimination. And there's only one subject in the world which has a systematic program for developing that discrimination, actually making us humans. Because a human being is one who can discriminate. Now, it's not an answer that is useful in the sense that today, how will I use it? I don't have it. For that, there are so many books are written and advice is giving so much is given. Frustrating? Yes. Gulp and bear it up. क्या कर सकते हैं? That is the truth. Right? In Vyaspit, I have to tell the truth, right? I can't tell a lie, so I have to tell. This is it. If we don't have this intellect developed, at the time the decision is needed, we will never know what is to be done. All the pointers are only pointers. Yeah, Ruchika.
Another basic question, like exactly what we are referring to here, like the intellect. How would we know that the intellect is there, like which is telling us this is our intellect that we are using?
Intellect is power of discrimination. How do you know whether you're using it or not? That anybody in this class will tell you. Come on, everybody. Please tell us. How do we know whether we're using the intellect or not? Nobody? I'm making random statements about this class. How do we know whether we're using the intellect or not? How are you going to tell?
Get agitated?
Why? Your intellect can make you do things which agitate you. Every time your intellect forces you to do a job that you don't want to do, you get agitated. Suppose a person is...
You've thought it through.
But yeah, I mean, the intellect would tell you, will allow you to discriminate. So you would not do it, or you would do it.
Yeah,
So
how do you know whether you're using the intellect or not?
Whether the outcome is taking you to the goal which you want.
That's, I mean, you can get a lucky break, right?
When your decisions are based on the fact that will this take me closer to my goal and not whether I like or dislike something.
Okay, y'all are going to kill me. But the answer to how do you know whether you're using the intellect or not is intellect. Sorry. Don't kill me, but that is the answer. I mean...
But Janki, every time you keep changing your answer.
Why? How did I change it? There can
This
be
is
no
a new
answer.
one.
Remember this. If you were in a lunatic asylum, if you were completely mad, would you know it? Why won't you know it?
because your intellect is not working.
Intellect is not there. It takes an intellect to tell whether the intellect is there or not.
A catch-22 position.
unfortunately, but it's the truth. So, मैं क्या करूँ? I have to only tell you what the text says, right? That's my job. I'm doing my job. Take it or leave it. Don't look like that, Ruchika. You're looking completely.
Like,
not
what
valid.
do we are referring to intellect here? Like, exactly.
Then how to know whether it is mind or intellect, which is discriminating?
This answer continues to be intellect. When you're functioning on the mind, who will tell you that you're functioning on the mind? When you're doing what you like, when you're behaving badly, when you're behaving based on the mind, even if you're doing very noble and good things, who will tell you? You need discrimination to know what you're doing. Have you not done things and you don't even know you've done them? So why don't you know them? Intellect is not present.
Can you please tell again, like, what is intellect?
Intellect is your power of discrimination. Human thoughts are classified into two things. One is one side of it is our emotions, our likes and dislikes, our whims and fancies, our what I feel like, what I don't feel like, the entire irrational part of our personality. So those kind of thoughts in Vedanta are called the mind, manas in Sanskrit. The other type of thoughts we have are rational, discriminative, decisive, judgment. All of this comes from the accord. There's no mind and intellect really. These are just a classification of thoughts. Such thoughts are called buddhi or intellect. Okay, so what is the purpose of Vedanta? To develop our intellect. Okay, so what is intellect? It is the capacity to discriminate. Discriminate means to be able to tell two things apart: tall and short, high and low, black and white, hot and cold. The world is made up of pairs of opposites. Now, how do you know which of the two it is? With your intellect. Okay, how do you know whether it is hot or it is cold? With your intellect. How do you know whether it is high or it is low? With your intellect. How do you know whether your mind is working or intellect is working? With your intellect. So now when the intellect is itself in trouble, we are lost ships. It's like it's a ship without a captain. So it's going anywhere and anyhow. That's what's happening to all of humanity. When you say develop the intellect, they say that's too abstract. मैं क्या बोलूं? Yes, I feel as helpless as you are looking, Ruchika. But this is the truth, that there's no alternative to this, tough as it may sound. But in the meanwhile, okay, while our intellect is growing, we can give ourselves some pointers, some tools, some aid, some assistance to get our decisions as correct as possible. Okay. There's nothing I can help further with. Now, Omkar, what were you saying, Omkar? Adiba, you have come to ask the question, but I'm not getting to you. Omkar, you had anything further?
Mama, I asked you a question.
Yes, I'm coming to you. Let's just finish one thing.
No issues now.
Omkar, you have anything? No? Then we'll go to Adiba. Okay. Omkar, you have to change Ruchika to Adiba. Where is Adiba? What happened here? Okay, Adiba, let's take your question. I don't know what has happened to Omkar. What was your question?
How is happiness guaranteed to the most sensitive hearts? Because like they get burdened even more now.
So how is happiness guaranteed to sensitive hearts? Because they get burdened more.
Like they feel more, no? So they are generally more in the plight. They see the agony more than the usual hearts do. So how can happiness be guaranteed to them? Like how can they be happier?
In exactly the same way as happiness is guaranteed to everybody else, the way a sensitive heart has some obvious advantages, right? It has grown enough to be able to feel for others. This is a step. This is a growth in human evolution. Now, this step, like any step of human evolution, requires the backing of the intellect. If your heart grows very nicely, but your intellect doesn't grow at all, the personality will topple. So, heart growing is a wonderful thing. You become sensitive to how others feel and all that. That's wonderful. But it requires an intellect for us to be able to govern, moderate that feeling. Okay, I may very much want to help somebody who's in trouble. But if that person doesn't want my help, I have to take a step back. I may feel very much for a person who is drowning. Somebody's fallen into a pond and is drowning. And I feel that, oh my God, I feel so bad for that person. But my intellect has to be able to tell me, I don't know swimming. I can't jump in there and try to save him. A lot of that happens with even, in mental health cases. Sometimes people get suicidal or depressed or something, and then their friends and family start advising them. They want to help, obviously, but they don't know how it is done. So they make the situation worse for that individual. So feeling is a very good thing, but it has to be backed by the intellect. If you can feel, but your intellect cannot filter, then that feeling will only cause further pain. So how is happiness guaranteed? By developing the intellect, so that you can filter, govern your feelings.
Janki ji, can I ask?
Yeah,
The word
let's just finish with Adiba. Adiba, is that fine with you?
Yes, ma'am, I really got the answer. I'm satisfied with the answer. Thank you, ma'am.
So this is in reference to Adiba's question. The word sensitive itself is not clear for me. There are two ways in which people define sensitive. One is somebody who's who gets affected very easily. The people who feel bad or get hurt very, very, very easily. Even those are defined as sensitive people. And somewhere we had discussed that people who are that kind of sensitive are people who have a high degree of ego and selfishness. Otherwise, why would... So what is this sensitivity that we are talking about?
Sensitive could be anything. Sensitive means you're reacting to the world. Its reasons could be anything, but you're reacting. There is a reaction to an event. So somebody is in pain and you are hurt because of that, you're sensitive. Somebody said some passing comment, but you're feeling insulted, you are sensitive. It means your mind is reacting to the world in various ways. So even if you are, if you're feeling another's pain, that means your mind is developed enough. It's reacting with the world. Even if you're conscious of people behaving negatively with you and you are reacting, you're better off than somebody who's not understood that this person is behaving badly with you. So sensitive is the fact that your mind is reacting and is reacting. Usually it's comparative, right? It's more than what other people are reacting. So up to that point, we have no value judgment on this whatsoever. The problem is not in whether you're sensitive or not, whether you're reacting to the world. The problem is, what is the filtration thereafter? Whether I feel you're in pain and I want to help you, or I feel you've insulted me and I want to deal with you, or whatever it is I'm feeling. What am I doing after that? Am I using my intellect to determine what is the right thing to do here? Or I'm running with my feeling totally out of control? Good feeling, bad feeling, any feeling.
Sorry. So what you feel is sensitivity, but the decision you take later on should be intellect driven.
Later on, I don't know what you mean by later on.
For example,
What you do should be based on your intellect.
So for example, when Rama was crying, when Sita
No,
was
wait, listen. Explain. What you do is based on your intellect. What you feel is your mind. But what you do is your intellect. It doesn't matter later, then, anytime. That very second, 2 years later, all that is immaterial. What you do about it is your intellect. If you do that, if you think and do, then that's your intellect. Okay?
So let's say somebody made a passing comment on me and I felt bad, and I decided to stay away from those people. So in a way, I'm taking again decisions based on my sensitivity only, right? I mean, I don't know how to put this clearly. It's not an intellect.
I felt like that.
Yeah.
No, but suppose it is Sheetal, for instance, and she said something to you that you are not like. You can keep away from her. She's your wife, for heaven's sake. But if your neighbor said something which is rude to you, okay, maybe you can keep away. So this is where the intellect comes in, right? There's discrimination going on. There is context. There is understanding. There is, what am I trying to do? What is the social context? What is the, in that situation, what's the right thing to do? Sometimes when people are rude to you, the right thing to do is stay away from. Sometimes when people are rude to you, the right thing is not stay away from them. It depends now. It all depends on so many factors, and how much can your intellect conceive and respond to the whole picture rather than just this one thing. Suppose it's a very old friend of yours who said something rude to you. Okay, somebody who's been with you for the last 40 years and has stood you well in good times, bad times, been with you. Now he said something rude. Then you should say, what happened to you today? Are you okay? Are you going through any problem? Because I don't know why you're behaving like this. It's not in accordance to the last 40 years. So it all depends on what the whole situation is.
And somewhere we discussed that the higher the sensitivity, the greater the ego. What was that?
That means that when you are looking at everything from the filter of how this affects me, that's a very egoistical thing. Everything is about me. Every story is about me. If you go to somebody else's wedding, also the story is still about you. That's ego. Like, somebody's getting married or somebody's getting a present or an award or whatever. Something is happening in somebody else's life, but I somehow make this about me. I'm always making everything about me. That kind of behavior is egoistic. Egoistical means my sole filter in life is me. I can't see anything else.
I got it.
Ruchi, did you want to say something? Ruchi?
No, Janki ji.
Okay. Are you new, Ruchi?
Yes.
First day?
No, I have been attending on and off.
Okay, all right. Right. So you know that today is group discussion, and therefore all these questions are coming up.
Yes.
So, anyone has any further questions? Adiba, you have anything else? There was only one group last time, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so then let us proceed if there are no further questions.
One question, Janki ji.
Yeah, go ahead.
When you had said that how do you make a decision, and the criteria was that does this take me closer to my goal? That was in the context of using your intellect and how do you determine? And today you said you know whether you're using the intellect with the intellect. So I'm a bit confused about these two answers, which are.
Okay, so the answer to every question is intellect. But if I were to answer every question with intellect, even the 3 people who come to class will stop coming. And hence we have to give some more explanation, right? So therefore, explanations, pointers, indications, some tools, all these are given. So that it is not, the answer is always the same. You have to use your own discrimination. But now, how do we use it in that particular position? Like, for instance, at work, how do you use your intellect? You compare whatever action you're taking, whether it's taking you to the goal. Now, suppose you're in a relationship. Now, how do you use your intellect? Then you have to ask yourself this question: whatever I'm about to say or do in this context, is it helping me achieve whatever it is I'm trying to achieve? Like if I'm going to get irritated and shout at a spouse, then I'm about to shout. So I have to ask myself, by my shouting now, what am I trying to achieve? And if I do shout, will I achieve that? Like my child is not studying and I see he's not studying. So I'm so irritated, I spend so much money on your studies. I've tried my best to do the best for you and you don't even study. So you get irritated. Now you're about to shout. Now you stop and ask yourself, what am I trying to do? So my answer is probably I'm trying to get the child to study. So what do I want to do? I want to shout. So do I think shouting is going to make the child study? If my answer is yes, shout. If my answer is no, don't shout. So these are all further and further explanations of how you use the concept. Right?
And in this context of deciding whether or not, I mean, particularly this example, I have often experienced not shouting as an intellect-driven decision builds up pent-up anger to the extent that there comes one day when everything comes out and there is no intellect, there's nothing, there is just shouting. So
very good. So what have you learned from that? That I cannot.
It is better to shout at when it comes rather than trying to use your intellect and building these pent-up emotions, which then just burst.
Very good. But what we have to understand is that life doesn't give us only 2 options. If I am irritated, let us say I'm very irritated with you, Omkar. Okay? Now I'm so irritated with you because you have not done something, whatever. I don't even think you didn't do something, whatever. You didn't do something. Now I'm very irritated. Now I feel like shouting at you. Right? Now, if I don't say anything, it will become a pressure cooker inside me. If I say anything, you will get stubborn and you will not do that thing any further. Not you, but like whoever I'm dealing with. Right? So, are these my only 2 options? Either I say nothing and then there's a pressure cooker inside me, or I say something and I put the pressure cooker inside you. These are not my only 2 options. I can go to Aparna and say, Aparna, you know what Omkar did? He give me some example. Trying to think of what you can do to irritate me. I just can't think of anything. Something, give some example. What did Omkar do? Omkar came to my house, huh?
Repeat the question and make it longer and longer.
No, I'll give something easy. Omkar came to my house and then he wrote with a crayon all over the walls. And I'm very angry with this. How dare he come to my house and write with crayon all over my walls? So now, if I open my mouth at this stage, I don't know what I will say to him. And when I say that to him, I don't know what he will do in response, because it's like the only thing I'll say, but then other people also react to what we say, right? There is a give and take going on here. So then I stop and I say, wait, I'm very irritated. I have to vent. What nowadays the language is, I have to vent. I have to go to a safe person and vent. Who is a safe person? Let's say Aparna is a safe person for me to vent with. So I can go to her and say, oh, you know, this Omkar, he comes to my house, he draws with his crayons on my walls. It is so irritating. I don't know what to do. Whatever I wanted to say to you, I say to her. Okay, my pressure cooker is over. Now I think, what do I have to do with Omkar? I have to tell the guards, if you see Omkar coming into the house and if he has any bag of any kind, any crayon in his house, do not let him come up. Tell him I'm not there. Okay, then I take action. But I don't, my choices are not only these two, that either I shout at you or I have pent up emotion. These are not my only choices. There are a host of choices. There are loads of things I could do. I just need to think, what are my options here? Okay. So you're completely
Janki ji,
Yeah,
sorry.
one second, let me finish. You're
Yeah.
completely correct with about this, about how we are always thinking in a very artificial manner. Okay, now what shall I do? I shouldn't say anything. I'm so angry. I shouldn't say anything. It's very artificial. What we have to do is recognize that just as I'm dealing with another person's mind, I'm also dealing with my own. Okay? And that's the fact of the matter. So if when you start becoming introvert, you say, yeah, just keeping quiet isn't working here. So now what are my options? And that's how you start thinking about the subject. Okay, go ahead. Who is saying something? Ruchi. But is it correct to share with someone else? Yes, maybe you took it as a gossip. It's not a gossip, but it's just a way of not allowing pent up emotions to build. So if you start gossiping about somebody behind their back and say, it's not that you are not going to speak to that person. It's not that you're not going to tell that person. It is just that you are taking care of your any pressure cooker story inside yourself. That's all you're doing. And obviously, hopefully, you will choose a person whom it is a safe person, not somebody who will now go and complicate the issue by going and telling somebody else. So everywhere intellect is required, right? You must have a person in your life to whom you can say things, and that person is not going to talk. That's why there are quiet people in this world, because we can go and tell quiet people things and then they don't tell anybody because they don't talk at all in the first place. I have one at home, very easy for me. I can say anything I want. And never go anywhere because the person doesn't know how to speak. So that's a great advantage. So yeah, so it's not in the sense of gossiping. That's bad. You're not trying to run the other person down. You're just keeping you're keeping it normalized for yourself. Okay, so then that's it for today. I hope you are all aware that on Thursday we are having the most erudite and humble Swami Sarvapriyananda coming to talk to us about the happiness guarantee. And please tell anyone who might be interested and who can benefit from this conversation. We should make some attempt to tell everyone about it so that more people hopefully can start thinking about these great ideas. Okay, so that's it for today. Hari Om.
Thank you. Thank you, Janki ji. Hari Om.
Thank
Hari Om.
you. Thank you, Janki.
Hari Om Janki ji.
Hari Om. Thank you.
Hari Om. Thank you, Janki.
Hari Om.